Some leaves down there, here's some leaves here, here's some leaves here, and I'll let you go at it, okay? Somebody could go in there and actually call off the characteristics to us. The very first characteristic is going to be page 5. We know it's not a conifer, so we go to page 14. And on page 14 it says, are the leaves opposite or alternate? So let's find a bud.
Here's a good example.
So see, here's the buds down here. Here's the buds. And also you have to remember, like just happened to me, a leaf was broken off. Look for an indication of a leaf on the opposite side or close by. But are we talking about opposite or alternate here? Opposite. Okay, we're talking about opposite. Next question.
Compound or simple.
Okay, compound or simple. So here's the bud right here, and I break this off, and so what is that? Compound. That's not the correct leaf though. I mean, that's not all of the leaf. Here's the leaf right here.
It's a 5.
If it has 5 or more.
Yeah, don't go too far, because don't go past page 15, it looks like.
Oh, this is over there? Okay.
I'm not sure how you get there, but I see a picture on page 15 that would slow us down.
Are buds sticky?
You know, and I'm afraid that this thing may not even be a true tree, but the buds on a buckeye usually are very large, and I don't see them on here. So it's one of the buckeyes.
Big? Are these small?
Small?
Are these considered small?
The thing is I've seen on many buckeyes, these things are huge. No, that's about the right size, but I've never seen a. We're trying. It smells like nothing. Does anybody know what this thing is?
They are finely tuned.
Very finely.
It's one of the buckeyes, though. But again, it could be an ornamental buckeye of some sort.
Yeah, our buckeye
Why are
is
you saying
completely
that's
full
not
of,
this one?
you know, the big nuts.
Yeah, the
right?
big nuts, right. And this doesn't. This is the leaf stem, I believe, is what's going on here. But I mean the flower.
See any?
No, there's no seeds on this thing. So this would be probably one of the worst ones I could have given you.
Can I ask you a question though?
The buckeye,
Sure.
What are you saying? It
the
seems to
nuts
make
on it
sense.
are
It says
like
they're regularly
walnut
finely
size.
tuned.
That's
Big-
true.
That big
Fine-toothed,
tooth,
yes.
right?
They're fine-toothed. If you look along the edge, it's a serrated tooth. Next thing, and that would take you to,
Sweet buckeye or yellow.
yeah, it's.
What is
Why are you
buds
saying
are not
it's not?
keeled?
Pardon?
What does not keeled mean?
Oh, you know, that's a word that I don't know. End buds are not keeled. Most of the buds that I've seen on buckeye are pointed. They're a pointed bud. And I don't know what keeled means on it. We have to look. I don't think the word is in that
Is there
book.
an index?
I don't think so.
It just gives the leaves.
Yeah.
It'd be like a keel of a boat.
Which would be this way?
Be that way.
Yeah, you would
Yeah,
think.
that makes sense.
I'm not sure. Again, this is probably one of the worst ones we could have picked.
So it's
Freak.
not keeled,
Is this a
it's
freak
not
tree?
keeled.
It's grown.
Supposed to avoid the
Right.
freaks.
No.
One.
Was it
first page.
freak? No. What was the word?
It said freaks.
Freaks. Okay. Yeah. Here we are. We found the first freak tree. Yes, exactly.
So it might be
Yeah.
ornamental of some sort.
Correct. Correct. I do know that we can do this one across the street here, though, and get away with it. Let's try it.
Our buckeyes edible.
Only half of it, and the squirrels know which half it is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's some toxic materials in it. Let me see what this one is. I think I know. Let me make sure that this is what it is. I know it is. Yeah. Try that one. And then some of you, well, you don't even have to try this one. You know what it is, don't you? Yes, but you can see the alternation on this one and the heart shape. Here's one right here. Where is
no way to just kind of, okay.
Where is the bud?
Here. They're along here. Back here.
Back there.
Double compound.
Yes.
Crazy.
Or pinnate, right?
Pinnately compound, right. But yeah, here's a bud right here. So this is actually the leaf. So can you make anything out of that? So walk through that one real quick.
And then when we look at if it's opposite or alternate, we're not looking at the.
No, you're not. You're no longer looking at the leaf. You have to have decided that here. So is this thing opposite or alternate? Don't look at this. Look at this.
Alternate.
It's alternating.
But then look at this.
But it's alternate on the pin.
Yes, and the problem is it's confusing because it's out towards the end of the branch, and so a lot of the bud. But see, that's why you have to look around. See, these aren't.
A little bit more
See, these aren't. Yeah, so you looked at one little spot there and saw that.
So the new
And this right over here is very obvious.
very slightly alternate.
So it's, what did we say? The first thing is conifer or deciduous, then go to page 14, and 14 tells us,
Alternate.
Alternate or opposite.
okay, alternate, it is alternate.
So it's compound or simple.
Compound, many compounds. But this is the whole leaf.
Smooth and unlobed.
Smoothed or toothed?
So when it's pinnately compound, is it considered
Smooth.
unlobed or lobed? When are you looking at the tiny little
You're looking at each
each
leaflet.
tiny leaflet,
Leaflet.
not the
I
branch?
believe that's the way it is you look at each
It doesn't
one.
ask if it's pinnately compound or not.
I don't think it's. Here's the answer right here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're getting close.
Okay.
So,
So if it's in a bog or it's not. So,
oh really?
The tree's growing on
so you go below.
Oh, I'm glad it's not poison sumac.
Doubly compound. Yeah, doubly compound, they call it. We're on page 22.
Yeah.
Doubly compound.
And then if it's
And then are the leaves leaflets. Leaflets, folks. On page 23 at the very top right hand corner, it says the leaflets. And that's where really the book was free. It's the ruler that they sent to you that cost the $5. So the leaflets they're saying are now,
less
So
than
is this a leaflet or is this a leaflet?
less than 1.5. They're calling each one of these a leaflet.
Just the tiny.
Each
little
one,
part.
yeah, each one. If the leaflets are less than 1.5, and if the leaflets are 2 to 2.5 inches long,
it's a coffee tree.
it's going to have to be. Yeah, it's a coffee tree. Has a name on the other side over there. I want to make sure of that. So again,
2.5 inches is. Again, are we looking at this as a leaflet
This is the leaflet.
or this tiny little?
well, in the way they're defining it here, it says between 2.5 inches long, and so this thing is way over 2.5 inches
This
long.
is
This
the
is the
leaflet.
leaflet?
This here. Or
No,
that's what you're holding.
they're saying if the leaflets are 2 to 2.25 inches long.
Which that is not.
Well, that's what I'm.
Actually,
Is it?
it says it's 2.
There, see, she's using this. She's using that wonderful ruler that she.
Nerd alert.
Nerd alert.
Unless you found a freak 2 inches long is pretty big.
Yeah. So this is the leaflet.
That's the leaflet.
This is the leaflet.
And then the whole thing's a leaf.
Correct. You got it. The whole thing is a leaf.
called.
That's what this is.
I can't
Neither
remember.
a leaf nor a leaflet.
Correct. It's neither one of
It's a
those.
leaf part.
It's a leaf part, right.
Okay.
It's a leaf part. Okay? So, what this demonstrates is that when you go to do a program like this, make sure you've walked through each one of your trees. The thing is we're standing in an area that's controlled by concrete and people and all kinds of issues. The best thing to do is to move off of a path to some degree and work from those. And also these have names on them. The trees, this coffee tree, that red bud, and that yellow poplar, they have names on them. Use those, cover up the names. Okay, because somebody else has supposedly identified them correctly.
Can I ask
All
a
right.
weird question?
No, it's not. There's no weird questions in this
So,
game.
Technically, at one point, those branches were buds.
Oh, yes.
And so, like, could you look at the branches and see if it's alternate or compound? Or would that never make sense?
No, it does make sense.
Because it does look alternate.
No, I think you're right. If you had a good view of it, you could probably
You could
help describe to some degree.
So if you were trying to get the whole view, you could potentially look at the branch.
Correct.
Cool.
And that narrows it down to mad horse, maple, ash, dogwood, horse chestnut, which is a buckeye. So the only opposite ones that we have are maple, and there's like 4 or 5 different maples, ash, and there's 2 or 3 different ashes, dogwoods, there's only the one dogwood that we have, and then buckeyes, and there's 2 or 3 of those here in Kentucky.
There's only one native dogwood.
Yes.
Would that be to say that like the dogwoods in everybody's front yards
Are not.
They
They probably are from a native stock, but sometimes what they do is they change their color. You know, they do something to change their color. What they'll do is they'll take a cutting and stick it onto a rootstock of something else, and that moves that characteristic through it. But most of the dogwoods that are in our yards are native dogwoods, but then, well, there's a silky dogwood, there's
Shrubs.
when you talk to horticulturalists, there's a whole bunch of dogwoods, but a lot of people just get a dogwood put in their yard. Front yards are the worst place to go. This is the worst place to be doing tree identification, is in this front yard. It's the worst place. You want to try to get to a wooded area to pick out true trees.
There is an alternate leaf dogwood, but
Yes, there is. It's not native. It's moved in from somewhere else. Right, exactly.
In this, obviously, we're not looking at the fruit at all. You could identify a Osage orange in a second, or a number
Correct.
of other ones.
Correct.
And those are just tricks. I mean, those shortcuts, I guess, right?
Correct. And the thing is there's nothing wrong with you in the position that you're going to be in to start collecting fruits and show the students that you have these different types of fruits that are out there. Mm-hmm. And I think the paper that I'm handing out is going to have some of those fruits on there, the different types of fruits that are available. And there's a game that we play, and I'm trying to think, it may come out of wet, I'm not sure if it is or not. No, it's Food, Land, and People. And what you do is you put all these things out there, and a Samara is a long bean type thing, mm-hmm. and then you have the Osage orange, which is round. So what? Tomato. Maple, yes, exactly. And so what you do is you put all of these items out on a table, and you say, okay, what is like and what is unlike? And so you have people come up and they are to pick out something that is that are the same. So an Osage orange and a walnut would be the same.
Right.
Whereas you couldn't get an Osage orange and a maple. Those would be conflicting characteristics. Mm-hmm. And that's another way to push home the idea of characteristics, is by putting all the characteristics, and you could do the same thing for leaves, put all those different characteristics out there and say, okay, come up and tell us what is 2 things that are similar. And you could margins, you could say, okay, pick out 2 leaves here that are, the margins are entire. Mm-hmm. And so that way it drills home those terms that you need to learn.
Right.
Okay, and that's a good hands-on too. You're not trying to teach tree identification as such. You're trying to teach those characteristics. And so by drilling that, what happens is people now look at trees, insects, whatever it is, and they start honing in on these characteristics, and they start putting them in broad groups. Like I said, we took that front end loader in there with all these leaves. By the time we get back in there, all these piles should be sorted out and being broken down. Cool. Okay, let's go back in. There's a few things I have to finish up with you. I think there's an assignment which